To start things off, we have a Rapier that's called Dorgort's Blade. Now its unique perk, Lava Tip, causes heavy melee attacks on either weapon to cause 10% burning for 5 seconds and can stack up to 3 times. It comes with Trenchant Strikes and Refreshing Move. And to get this, you need to defeat Infrit in Mutated Imperium Forge. Now initial thoughts are you don't really do much heavy attacks with a Rapier, so you initially thinking it didn't have much of a use case there, but it's got the key thing where it works on either weapon. So straight away comes to mind maybe pairing with a Greatsword. I know I've run builds before pairing Greatsword with Venom, so you get the poison tipped from Venom on heavy attacks. And poison tip does 15% poison damage, and this does 10% but can stack up to 3 times. So pair this with a Greatsword with heavy attacks, you can get quite a lot of burning damage there. That's just my initial thoughts. I'm sure there's lots of other combos we'll be able to come up with, but that is the Rapier. Moving on to the next artifact, we have a musket called Shrapnel. Its unique perk, Shrapnel Shot, causes a 10% bleed for 10 seconds on critical hits. It comes with Keenly Jagged and Vicious, and you can get this from Outpost Rush. This does actually seem quite good to me. I think initially this unique perk was only on headshots, but I think they've now changed it to be on critical hits. Seems pretty good. You get the bleed from Shrapnel Shot, you get the bleed from Keenly Jagged, you get the bleed from a couple of passives in the musketry. Find that with the other damage over time skills in the musketry, and you can get some pretty big ongoing damage. So I think this is actually going to be quite good. Bear in mind now muskets can pierce as well, and it doesn't say that it has any kind of cooldown on the Shrapnel Shot. So if you're piercing through lots of enemies, you can be applying that Shrapnel Shot to multiple enemies at once. Obviously we'll have to test that to make sure that works, but based on the wording here, that should work. To me, this seems like a pretty good artifact. Obviously, using an artifact as your musket means you won't have an artifact in your offhand, so you won't be able to pair with a Rapier or the Void Gauntlet for the extra damage there, so we'll have to look at how much this does, but to me, at first glance, this looks like it could be pretty good. On to the next one, we have an earring called Justice. Now its unique perk, Alchemist Ward, says that after taking 20 hits, you gain a potion surge for 60 seconds to instantly recharge your next healing potion. This comes with Empowering Toast and Healing Heart, and you get this from influence races, which is quite unique. I don't think they've ever put an artifact in influence races before. This is interesting, but it could cause some issues for some people, given that influence races are normally in the evening. So if you're someone who doesn't play in the evening, it may be difficult or impossible even for you to get this artifact. So we'll have to have a look and see how that plays out. In terms of the actual unique perk, now this is very similar to Survivor's Coat that came out with Aeternum. That's another one which gave you a potion surge. So looking at it from 2 points of view, looking at it from PvE, I don't think this will be very good. If you're playing a DPS or a healer, you're not really going to be taking the 20 hits to get the potion surge. If you're playing a tank, you will be taking the 20 hits to get the potion surge. But on your earring, you really want Regenerating and Despised as your 2 key tanking perks, and you'll be able to add one of those to this, but not both. Is it worth sacrificing those 2 perks just to get an extra potion surge, especially in group play when you're going to have a healer? I don't think so. So at first glance, this doesn't look like it'd be too good for PvE, especially group content. However, in PvP, I think this does have a lot of viability. I know myself for a lot of my builds, I end up not having an artifact jewelry piece because none of them seems to fit sometimes. So this could be a nice one, especially if you're getting in there with a lot of attacks and getting in the front line, so you will be taking a lot of hits. And obviously you've got the Empowering Toast on there as well, so you do a potion, you trigger the Empowering Toast, and then because of Potion Surge, you'll have another one instantly ready to go, so then you can wait the 5 seconds and use another one. And you can maintain the 20% empower from Empowering Toast quite a lot. Also, it could combo with Survivor's Coat as well, where that's giving you a potion surge, this is giving you a potion surge, so you could end up having like 3 potions potentially that you can use one after another, which could be pretty big. So yeah, I think this one could see some play, but again, we'll have to do some testing. On to the next one, we have a Firestaff called Burnanator. This has the unique perk, Burnanation. This causes Firestaff skills and heavy attacks to deal 33% less damage, but causes 15% burning for 5 seconds, and this can stack up to 5 times. It comes with Keenly Jagged and Refreshing Move. Now you get this by defeating the Corrupted Leviathan. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the Corrupted Leviathan might be one of the soul trials, the single player soul trials. So I think that's where we'll be getting this from. Now looking at the unique perk, the first skill that comes to mind that will be amazing with this is Flamethrower. Flamethrower, you can constantly be dishing out damage with a Firestaff skill, therefore unique perk will trigger and you'll get to the 5 stacks really quickly. And yeah, the flamethrower itself will be dealing 33% less damage, but you'll be causing a lot more damage with the burning from this perk, along with the burning from the smolder from the actual ability itself. With the other abilities, such as Pillar of Fire, we're going to have to look how good that would be, because they are one-off damage abilities, so you're only going to get 1 stack, but you're going to sacrifice 33% of the damage from those abilities, so it may not be as good with them. Another skill which seems like it would be very good with is Meteor Shower. That's going to be applying ongoing damage to a group of enemies, so you'll be able to apply this to multiple enemies at once, stacking multiple times. There doesn't seem to be, again, a cooldown on this skill, so it should, in theory, put down a Meteor Shower, get to that 5 stacks really quickly. I mean, that could be actually really good. So we're going to have to see how this plays out, but I think this one has a lot of potential. Up next, we have a bow called Aconite. Now this has the unique perks of Poison Affinity, which causes you to deal 15% more damage to poisoned enemies, and Poisoned Tipped, causing heavy attacks to apply poison. Now it doesn't actually say how much damage this will do, but if it's the same as Venom that has the similar skill, that deals 15% damage over 5 seconds, so potentially we'll be getting the same effect as that. It comes with Enchanted and Refreshing Move. You get this by defeating Verudilon the Rootbound in Eden Grove, or at least that's what this says. However, I've just had a look at the new database, and Verudilon the Rootbound seems to be an elite boss enemy that spawns in Reekwater in the open world. So potentially either they've moved it to Eden Grove, or it's just a wrong place on here. But either way, it looks like it's going to be from killing this open world elite. Now the effects do look quite good. Heavy attacks apply poison. I believe that the full effect of that perk is not listed here, and it's going to give us more detail when it comes out, because that just doesn't tell us enough, I don't think. How much does it apply? Does it work on both weapons? Is it ranged only, or is it melee only? I think we need more information about how Poison Tipped will work. But on the basic stat, just looking at face value, you heavy attack with your bow, and then you'll be able to deal 15% more damage to the target. You've then obviously got Poison Shot on the bow, again allowing you to deal 15% more. This looks quite, like it could be quite good. It doesn't look that game changing, doesn't look that fun, which is something I think we really need more in artifacts, but it does look fairly good. Refreshing Move on the bow isn't the greatest perk to have, but it is a little bit different. But I think most of this will come down to whether this is good or not, as how that Poison Tipped perk works. But you do heavy attack a lot with the bow. You'll normally do the combo of a heavy attack into an ability, so you'll be able to get that extra 15% damage through that combo. One of the main things you're going to have to assess when deciding whether or not to use this bow, similar to the musket, when using the artifact in the main hand, it means you won't be able to have an artifact in your offhand, so you won't be able to have the other artifacts in your offhand, which often give bonuses to your main hand, such as the Life Taker or such as the Rapier. So that's something to consider. Again, we'll have to see how Poison... I think it all comes down to how that Poison Tipped specifically works. On to the next one, we have an Ice Gauntlet called Otzi. Now its unique perk is called Frozen Tomb, which says, hitting a target with Entomb's Break will inflict them with Frostburn, slowing their movement speed by 10% and dealing 10% of your weapon damage every second for 5 seconds. This comes with Vicious and Refreshing Move, and you get this by killing Kriko in Elysian Wilds. Kriko is just one of the open world elites in one of the elite areas in Elysian Wilds. So this looks kind of interesting. It's nice to give an extra effect to Ice Tomb, giving it a bit more damage, giving it something different. Now inflicting them with Frostburn for 5 seconds, slowing their movement speed and dealing damage is actually quite good. It allows you to heavy attack to root them in place using one of the passives on the Ice Gauntlet. And you get 5 seconds to do that, and a 5-second slow is quite big. 10% of your weapon damage is also quite nice, just an little extra damage to Entomb, which is normally a defensive ability. A lot of the times you will be surrounded by a lot of enemies. Like they might jump on you, you Entomb to get to safety, and then you can break out of that and now slow everyone, deal damage, and then potentially get away or kill. Again, the main cost to this is it better than alternative choices? Is it better than the other Ice Gauntlet artifact, which just gives a flat damage bonus to both of your weapons? We'll have to see. This is at least something different, and I really like the artifacts which adjust abilities. I think that's what artifacts should be doing, adjusting abilities, giving them new effects or giving new passive effects that actually have an impact that you can see. I think these types of effects are a lot more fun, and I think that's what artifacts should be focused around. They should be focused around being fun, not necessarily focused around being the most powerful. I think that makes them a lot more unique and fun to play. I think it might depend on your playstyle as to whether this is good. If you are playing a mage which likes to sit back, maybe use your Firestaff more often from a distance, I don't think this will be good for you. I think this will be better off for the mages that want to get in on the front line, getting in the groups of enemies. Specifically, I could see this working very well with an IGVG build, where you're in there in medium potentially with the new Azov pants, and you're just in there. You can quickly entomb, unentomb, slow them, switch to your Void Blade with a Void Gauntlet. Same thing if you're using a close quarters Firestaff Ice Gauntlet build, it could work really well. If you're sitting back and you're attacking from range, you're not really going to get much use out of the Phrasen team, I don't think. So you're probably better off with the other artifact. But yeah, if you like getting in there, getting into the heat of the fight with lots of enemies around you, I think this could actually be a viable choice. On to the next one, we have the Life Staff. This is called Heceta. Now, this unique perk says Light Touch, enhances heavy attacks after casting abilities, granting allies 30% damage absorption. It comes with Blessed and Refreshing Move, and you can get this by defeating an elite enemy in Restless Shore. Now, looking at the unique perk, I still think we're lacking a bit of information to be able to fully assess it. For example, it grants allies a 30% damage absorption. How long for? Like, is it just the next hit they take, or do they get it for 5 seconds? We don't know, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. The main issue I see with this from a PvE point of view is most of the time, you don't have your life staff in hand all the time. A lot of the time you'll use your life staff, use some healing skills, then you'll switch to your secondary weapon, such as a Void Gauntlet, Void Blade, or a Flail, and you'll start doing damage abilities with your secondary. So this is more designed for someone who wants to main hand the life staff throughout the fight. From a PvP point of view, I think it's going to be pretty hard to land your heavy attacks consistently through allies, but this is just so hard to assess without knowing more information about how long that 30% damage absorption lasts for. Also, does this mean if you put a heavy attack through a group of allies, they all get the 30% damage absorption, or is it just the first one? We're going to have a look at that. It seems like it could be okay. My main gripe about this one is it's not a very fun perk. I was expecting or hoping really for something a bit more exciting, given that we've waited so long for a life staff artifact which is designed for healing. Now, it does come with some good perks. It comes with Blessed and Refreshing Move, so thankfully we got the two of the key perks you want on a life staff. Hopefully there's room for a gem slot so you can add a diamond, and then you can add a third perk of your choice. Obviously that could be one of the abilities you want. One good thing I think that this does have, however, is based on the wording. This is damage absorption. This isn't fortify. This is old school damage absorption, which means it is a solid 30% damage reduction you're going to be getting, which is actually massive. So this could actually be really good, albeit a little bit boring. And for the final artifact, we have the Void Gauntlet. This is called Fracture. Now, its unique perk, Mending Rupture, says increases overflowing essence healing by 100% and increases rupture damage by 50%. It comes with Keen and Refreshing Move. And you can get this by completing Major Darkness events. Now, I think Major Darkness events are just corrupted portals, but that's what they call them sometimes. So this artifact is all about boosting Rupture on the Void Gauntlet. So let's just look at the first effect of it. Increases overflowing essence healing by 100%. So looking at the actual skill tree on a Void Gauntlet, you've got Essence Rupture, which is a skill they're on about, And then you have the final upgrade to it is Overflowing Essence. So this is what's going to get boosted. So this is one that says friendlies within 4 meters of the afflicted target are healed for 80% of your weapon damage when Essence Rupture ends or when the target is killed. So rather than 80, they're going to be getting healed for 180%. Now that is a big heal, but is it that good? Now you can't time when this is going to end. It has a set end time for when Rupture ends, so it's not like you could suddenly end Rupture after your team takes a big bulk of damage in order to quickly heal them. I feel like a lot of the time, this is just going to heal them when they're at full health anyway. I think on a lot of builds, people don't even take this final upgrade to Rupture because it's just generally not worth it. So I'm not sure how impactful the added healing to that is. Now the other part of it is it increases Rupture damage by 50%. So Essence Rupture fires a projectile dealing 100% weapon damage. So Rupture is now going to do 150% damage. A 50% damage increase on Rupture just doesn't seem that good to me. It doesn't seem like you're going to get much value out of that if you're using that as your artifact. You're not using Essence Rupture for the damage, you're using it because it gives everyone lifesteal. I think when we first heard about this artifact, when everyone said it increases the healing, people were thinking, oh, is that going to increase the lifestealing? But no, it's increasing the heal you get at the end of using Rupture. Based on that overall, I think this is not a good artifact. I don't think this is going to see much play at all. I might be completely wrong, but that's my initial thoughts on it. It's still going to be one I'm going to pick up. I'm going to try and play around with, see exactly how it works, if there's something I've misunderstood, and see if there's any actual use cases for it. But out of the 7, this is looking to be the least good in my opinion. And that's it. That's all of the new artifacts we'll be getting for Season 7. Let me know your thoughts below, and thanks for watching.